Hi and welcome to the Friday Business Q&A. I hope you're all having a fabulous week and have been really productive and action focused. But we're back to our usual Friday live Biz Q&A. So for those of you who don't know what that is when we have during the week mum entrepreneurs email me questions, or they can post them in comments. And if you're live on here now, if you have any questions, just post them in the comments box below, and I can actually answer them for you right now. So this is a usual biz Q&A. It's normally on a Friday afternoon. Sometimes you might see it on a Thursday. That's if I've got a Friday off spending with the kids. But it is usually on a Friday. So I've got 3 questions to start off with today. The first one I got emailed this week was something quite practical. It's a mum that's setting up a business and setting up her website and doesn't have any images. And the question is, what are my go-to for images? And the first one when I started was hot chocolate, which is a paid stock photo for female entrepreneurs or for feminine-based businesses or coaching businesses, women coaching businesses. And the other one, which is free, which is Pexel, P-E-X-E-L, which I love, and I use a lot for Instagram because there is something such as Word Swag, which is an app, and they use a lot of the Pexel pictures. So that is something that I use as a go-to for images if I've run out of images, or if I just don't have anything that fits the blog I'm doing or the topic I'm talking about. All right, so that's my go-to for images. The other question is, I think this is probably beneficial for a lot of mums, is how do you do everything? So the question to me was, Claire, how do you do everything? How's it even possible? So I've had to write down a few things because I am quite structured in the way I work, and I think that's mainly historical, but also those of you who know me, I'm very results driven. So everything's about productivity, and I try and avoid anything that is reactive. It's all very proactive. Things that that might be a big challenge for someone. For me, if it's not in my important box, which I've got, then I don't worry too much about it and I just keep moving on. All right, so the first thing to do, what I do, is structure. So, and I actually did a talk about this last Friday, actually, at a women's event. So structure, first of all, is actually naming the hours you're going to work. And even if you have got a little one, or you're still breastfeeding, or you're on maternity leave, it's actually making those hours of work still work. So if you know that the little one sleeps between certain hours and they're good like that, it's making sure that you allocate hours of work. And the reason why I say that is you actually get a lot more work done in block time, in a shorter block time, than you do when you spread yourself over a day trying to do a little bit here and there. Because every time you start or trying to finish something, it's almost like you're starting again. You've got to think about where you started and what momentum you were in, or what you were going to say, or the thoughts. So if you get that block time, even if it's less time, you actually find you more productive. So really structuring your day in terms of your work hours. Okay. So that's the number one thing I do. The other thing I do is I actually, on a Monday, I set 2 goals for myself for the week, every week, all right? And then every single night before I finish work, I write down my actions, or people would call it a task list. I call it an action list. I write down all the actions that need to take place the next day for me in order for me to reach my goal by Friday. Okay, because I try not work weekends. My weekends are for my family, and during the week I have allocated family time as well. So Monday to Friday, it's setting those 2 goals I want to hit by the end of the week, and it's making sure that I've set my actions every day to hit them. And now this is more of a mindset thing. The reason why I do it set my actions at night and not the next morning is because when you go to your computer or your office or your desk or wherever you're working from, it could be your bed, wherever you're working from, if you've got an action list ready to go, you find that you're more productive. But if you're still setting out what you're going to do for the day, you find that you spend up to an hour preparing that and then only getting into it. We don't have much time, so you need to take every single bit of time and go, okay, this is what I'm doing, and really just jump straight into it. So those are going to be really kind of keys. Setting your structure, know your hours of work. Okay, and if it means that you have to work 2 hours at night 2 days a week, or 3 hours at night 3 days a week, make your partner aware of it. All right, those are your work hours. Okay, and then set your goals that you want to achieve by the end of the week. Don't make it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goals. It's got to be achievable. I had someone say to me last week, oh, having my website up by Friday, is that going to be achievable? And I said, have you actually mapped out the tasks that need to go into your website? And the particular person said no. And I said, well, I think you need to do that before you can decide whether that's going to be a Friday goal, because setting up a website by Friday, and when I'm saying that, I'm saying all the content as well, it's quite difficult. Okay, so it's making sure that the goal, if you work those hours, you can actually achieve it. Okay, so set those 2 goals a week, and then just make sure that you're setting your action plans the night before, so you're ready to go in the morning. Hi Bridget, hi Lisa. Okay, so there's a question there. Hi Claire, with stock photos and those types of website, do you have to credit them if you use their photos on their website, or as the image is in your social post? Try to read the T's and C's. Okay, so no, Bridget, you don't. So if you actually buying, so you've got different types of stock photos you get. You get the stock photos, which are totally free. Then you get the stock photos, which are royalty free. Okay. Now the royalty free ones are the ones that you pay for and you can use wherever. You don't have to credit them. There are free ones that will ask you to credit, but there's also free ones that you don't have to credit at all. It just depends on which one. So for instance, Pexel I use, and I went through all their terms and I had a lawyer look through them, and you don't have to credit them. Okay, but it just depends on which sites you go for. But if you're purchasing, you don't have to credit. If you join something like Hot Chocolate, which is paid every quarter and you have access to all their images, you don't have to credit them. Okay, so don't worry too much about that. What I do say when it does come to credit, if you're going to use someone else's quote, like Oprah, or anyone that even a coach you might know, if you're going to use a quote of theirs, something that they've said, then yeah, you must quote them. So you'll say, example, rise above the mountains. If I said that, you'd have my name under it. That's very important. Okay, but as for images, unless it states and it's part of an authority or a membership or a website that says credit the photographers, then yeah, you do that. But there are free ones that you don't need to. Okay. All right. So moving on to, so we went through, those stock images, and then we went through obviously doing everything and kind of setting your actions for the week and your goals for the week. Okay. Sorry, the screen is moving. My tripod broke, so I'm just using a very small one, which it's not stable. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so the third question which came up, and I hope she's on here, but that was really around pricing. And this is not the first time I've had this, where you might be a service-based business and you're not sure how to price your service. And pricing is obviously very important, okay, because you price too high, people might not buy. You price too low, and your clients might think, why is this so cheap? Or you price too high and you miss out on an opportunity because you were just way off the ballpark. So yeah, pricing is very important. You need to take time for pricing, and there needs to be some sort of testing done as well. So my kind of keys for pricing in service-based businesses is, first of all, I want you to jot down for a particular project, if you've got 3 services or 1 service, you need to write down the amount of hours that's going to take. And that's also includes pre-work, so pre-work and post-work. So it's not just about the time you're spending with that particular client. So you need to write down the hours, okay? You also then need to write down in a separate box your expenses for each job and how much it's going to actually cost you out of pocket. You then need to write down your monthly expenses for your business, okay? And you need to factor that in at some point as well. The next box, you need to really spend some time doing some market research on your industry and see what competitors are saying, see what clients are saying in terms of what they are willing to pay for the service that you're providing. This is just when you're starting up, okay? And then you really need to take into account your experience. If you're just starting up, this is your first service business and you've not done one before, you might be slightly, like for instance, if you're a new life coach or a new business coach, you might not be as pricey as someone that's had 10 years in business coaching. So you do need to take your experience into consideration when you are doing your first service packages, whether you are B2C or B2B. All these 4 areas you really need to consider. Okay, so the first one is time allocation. The second one is how much you're going to be out of pocket per project. The third one is going to be your market research. Hi, Letha. Your market research. And your fourth one is going to be around your experience. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. So say, for instance, I'm selling, I have a health coach business, and I'm going to be selling health services to mums, okay, or new mums. And I know for a fact that, within the health industry, no one pays above, $80 an hour or $100 an hour. Now, I'm a new coach. I probably wouldn't go in at that level, because what you want to do first, when you've just started up, you need to do some testing. Everyone has to test. You've got to keep testing. I'm always testing my business, but you need to do some beta testing. You take a couple of clients or a couple of projects on, get some feedback, get some testimonials, make sure that the service is correct. If you know your service, so you've come out of a corporate environment and you're going straight into what you know and you're setting up on your own, that's different. You charge exactly what you were charging in your corporate role. Absolutely. Just because you might have a smaller office or you're working from home, it doesn't matter. If you're charging $120 an hour, working in your corporate business, doing the exact same thing, and you've gone out on your own, you can charge $120 an hour if you're able to keep your brand, your name, and your clientele. If you need to drum up brand new business and you've got some sort of restraint clause, then what you would do then is you might go slightly lower than what your previous company was, and try and win those clients on. I'm not saying you do it for free at all, and try and bring those clients on, but make sure that your hours are covered, your expenses are covered, you're getting paid for your experience. Those are the keys. So Rebecca, I hope you're on here and got that down, because that was the main question from you. Okay, great. And then the final question was actually something that popped up yesterday. A lot of you have seen me going on about Confidence Month, and I am going to keep going on about it. I had a question that was emailed through to me is, how do you get over... What does it say? Sorry. How do you get over the fear of what people might think of you? Okay, so how do you get over the fear of what people might think of you? And I thought that would fit really well within Confidence Month, so I'm going to talk about that. Now, there's lots of different ways in which you might fear people might think about you. For instance, what you say, what you do, who you hang around with. You also might have some self-talk in your head, thinking that people think a certain way about you, and that really comes from comparing yourself. And it's interesting because a lot of the time it is actually what you think people think, and they don't think like that at all. But the fear is really, it's something that is personal. It's something that every single person has to deal with themselves. No matter how much training and pushing someone can do, it's something that you actually have to lay down on the line, really dig into what it is that is, that you fear, why you fear it. And once you figure out those things, sometimes it's actually quite simple. Sometimes it just needs to be a change. Sometimes it is finding that person that's just going to push you in that area. And once you do that, you're like, hey, I can do this. Fear, like I said, for me is different because I see fear as something that pushes me. So if I fear something, it means that, like my adrenaline's rushing. It means it's something that I have to do. It's something I need to do, and it pushes me. So it depends on which way you look at fear. And like I said, I just think that the best thing for you to do would be really just to brainstorm about it. Really get to know your fear. Get to know what is it that triggers that. Get it to know why you feel that way. And then that is the last time you look back on it. Then you got to think about the solutions. If it's fear of Facebook Lives, it's find the person like we're doing in our group who's going to push you, who's going to, be able to guide you and let you practice. If it's a fear of pricing your products, it's about asking your audience. It's about asking your audience going, okay, this is what I want to, or a closed community, this is what I want to price my products. And, I'm not sure if anyone's going to buy it or whatever it may be, but talk about it. Really talk about it. Just keep talking about it, because the more you talk about it, the more you'll do to overcome it. Okay. But as I mentioned, fear is something that drives me. For instance, fear of maybe, I'm just going to say, for instance, fear of maybe, not being able to educate my children, or fear of not having a roof over our head, or something like that. You got to think about that sort of thing and go, hang on a minute, I've got a fear for this. And, if I'm going to fear anything, it should be, something like that. And that's what drives me. So think about what that fear is and just analyze it, not for too long, and then just focus on a solution. And if you really, really don't know where to start, please just email me or message me, because I'm more than happy to help. This whole community is about empowering and driving mums in the right direction to be able to set up their businesses, to be able to be confident in their business, to have, what they dream of, and, be able to, take that confidence and that enthusiasm and passion and show their audience and show their customers and, exactly what it is that you're about. It's amazing how I come across every single day the most amazing mom entrepreneurs, and, confidence and fear really do kind of stop them in their tracks. And, for me, I'm like, if you can just see the passion, and if you could just, release that passion and see, how much, value you have and how much you can offer, and you just want to go, come on, let's do it. And I just want you to, if you have any fear or confidence, just get out your system, talk about it, write it down, find out what the triggers are and start working on those. Okay. So I hope you found that useful. Hi guys. Hi Katie. Hi Rochelle. Rochelle says, don't be afraid of fear. Absolutely. Use it. Use it in your business. Okay. Use it in your business. So we went through 4 questions today actually. So if there is anything else that, on this live Biz Q&A that anyone else would like to ask, please do so now and pop it in the comments. Because the next one will obviously be it'll actually be next Thursday, because next Friday I will not be working. So thanks very much for emailing in the questions. Don't forget to email and send through your questions for next week. And if you think of something at the last minute, just pop on the live session next Thursday. I'll put the date in and you can ask then. But don't let anything hold you back. Get it out there. Ask someone. ask someone for advice, ask the questions, and don't let it stop you. Don't dwell on it. Just keep moving forward. Have a wonderful weekend, guys, and I will see you next week.